Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I am here tonight to talk about goal planning, goal setting, and planning. This is part of the Leadership Excellence series, so when I talk about goal setting and planning, there will be a little bit of a focus on it from a leadership perspective. I'll also mention the Toastmaster. One thing at the end, I'll mention the Distinguished Club program, and a reference to that and how we work there to set goals. As a leader, leaders have specific tasks and objectives they want to accomplish, and they need to figure out how they're going to get them and their team to accomplish these objectives. Therefore, that's why we're going to be looking at goal setting and planning. When I talk about goal, what am I talking about? A goal is a specific objective that you must achieve. When we talk about the planning is. I am hitting the wrong button there. I'm sorry. It's right there by my finger, so I'm going to fix that. So when we talk about a plan is the blueprint of how we're going to achieve that goal. So that's what we're going to be looking at. How do we define what goals do we need? What process do we go through? And how are we going to achieve then? What is our plan to achieve that goal? Let's do it again. Okay, so when we talk about goals, we refer, when you talk about setting up a good goal, we talk about setting up a SMART goal. A SMART goal, we'll go through the process of what each letter in SMART stands for. We'll start with specific. When you set a goal, it has to be specific. I could say my goal could be I'm going to go west, very non-specific. I take a step, I've already completed it. Does that do me any good? Or I'm going to fly out to Los Angeles, California and visit next month. That's a specific goal. So you need to be very specific when you set your goals. Another step is they need to be measurable. People often do things, I'm going to lose weight. I lost 6 ounces last night, am I done? You've got to define things and it's got to be measurable. So therefore, even I'm going to fly out to Los Angeles, California. I step into Los Angeles, that's measurable, I've completed the goal. If I'm going to fly out I'm going to go west, that's not measurable. So your goal also needs to be very measurable when you're looking at those goals. Also, action-oriented. When you're looking at setting a goal, it also needs to be action-oriented. I am going to travel to Los Angeles, California. I am going to increase my sales by 10% next month. We are going to increase our productivity by 5% over last year, same time period. These goals you're setting, they're action-oriented. You're going to do something to accomplish that goal. You're going to actually increase your sales, you're going to travel, you're going to lose the weight, you're going to do something. So you need to make sure, I'm going to get older, I can do that right now, I just happened, there you go. You got to be very careful about how you set your goals so they're going to have purpose, it's going to do something for you. Your whole point of trying to achieve an objective. If we look at another aspect of your goals, of course, they need to be realistic. Sometimes I've seen goals, we're going to increase our sales 100% this month or this year. Well, we've increased to 5% in the last 5 years. How are we going to increase to 100% now in 1 year? Another example I always like to say is, I'm going to be an NFL football player. That might not be a realistic goal. I think one of my old teachers used to say it was slim and none, and Slim just left the building. That's about my chances at this point of being an NFL football player. So you have to have realistic goals. One big important aspect of not having a realistic goal is goals can be very motivating. You're motivated, you're doing it, you're achieving it. To be an NFL football player, where do I start? I don't even know, and I'm never going to get there. So it's going to be demotivating for you and your team if you don't set realistic goals. Time bound. That is another critical aspect that helps with motivation. I say that I'm going to set my goal. I'm going to California. So in 20 years, maybe I'll figure out that that's when I'm going to decide to go, and I can start to plan. There's no action to do if you don't set a time, right, people? So we need to set time limit also on our goals. So that's the important characteristic. If you want to make a good goal, you want to make a goal that's going to help you achieve your objective, that you're going to be successful, your team's going to be successful, you need to use SMART goals. When you implement goals, one important factor to consider is you need to involve your team. I think we've all been in situations, and I think more budgeting and other stuff where here's what you're going to do. Well, that's not, you didn't help set your goal, so that really what setting your goal is going to do is it's going to help your team take ownership. They helped, they were involved with the process. They're going to take responsibility. Well, I was there in that room and I said, we could do this. I feel a little responsible that maybe I need to do something to to achieve that goal. And just across that is general commitment. So it's very critically important as a leader to involve your team in that goal setting process, because otherwise you're not going to get there because your team's not going to be on board with you. Another aspect is write the goal down. Every time, everywhere I read about, write the goal down. There's a few reasons you write the goal down, you're going to remember. You write the goal down, you're with the team, get together, you write it down, you put it right there in front of you where you see it all the time. That is going to allow you to remember the goal, it's right there. How many people said, I'm going to do this next time? You basically just made a goal that you didn't write down that's not going to resolve anything. The other thing that I think is not always considered is you need to think about how you're going to achieve this goal. What must I do to achieve the goal? As I said, I talked about being an NFL player. Well, I need to grow a foot, gain a bunch of muscle, and run a 5.54 or 4.5. Not 5.5. That'd be really slow. That'd be the kicker runs a 5.5. But we need to consider, what we need to do to actually achieve those goals. Critically important is you have to regularly review. I made a goal, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 3 months. I didn't go back and look until 2 months, and now there's no way I can achieve it. Regular reviewing allows you to, I need to make a change. It's going to motivate you. It's going to motivate your team when you're reaching your milestones towards your goal because you're regularly addressing it. Or it's going to allow you to make changes so that you can reach your goal. So that's an important factor, is to review that regularly. We talked about planning. The planning process does a couple things. One of the key things, it starts out by reinforcing your goal. You sat there, we talked about this is the goal we want, we talked about how we're going to get there. To plan it out, we got to plan what are we going to do, what things do we need to do, what resources do we need, what tasks do we need to get there. So that's going to reinforce the goal. Having issues with this tonight. Another thing that's important is that we talk about from leadership perspective, you're going to be more future oriented. You're sitting there, you are actually thinking about, you just lined up these tasks. We got these 5 tasks to do this month for our goal. So I'm thinking about that as I go along. So more future oriented enables you to coordinate your decisions. I've had bosses that this has been an issue with. As a leader, I know that we just said we're going to do goal A and we need 4 steps this month, and we're going to do goal B and we need 5 steps in the next 2 months, and then someone comes and has something else they want us to do. I know, and I can coordinate across the 3, we aren't going to be able to do that 3rd thing. We're not going to achieve our goals if we take that on. So I make a better decision, more coordinated decision with everything we got going because I planned out what needs to be done for my goals. Last thing related to that is efficient use of resources, because the 9 steps we got to do for goal 1 and 2, we can use those resources efficiently to do that. Part of, we'll talk about planning here in a second, will be aligning the resources, basically assigning resources. The 5 steps of planning is, key is establish strategy. You need to know, I talked about going to LA, am I going to fly or am I going to drive? That's not, there's a lot of sub-steps. If I fly, I need to buy tickets, I need to get luggage, I need to get an ID, I need to get to the airport. But the base strategy to fly or to drive changes how I'm going to go about getting there, what steps I need to do. So you've got to establish strategy. How are we going to increase sales? Are we going to get more customers? Are we going to increase price? Battle on the low end. So there's a lot of things to consider. Timetable. You need to set a timetable. I talked about the task. I'm flying to LA. 6 weeks out, I need to buy a ticket because don't go away and try to buy it 3 days before. It's going to cost a fortune. I need to get luggage. I might say 2 weeks out. I need to pack at least the day before. Some people they know not to do that. I need to be at the airport 2 hours early, so I set a timetable. These are the tasks I need to do, and this is my timetable to do them. I did talk about assigning responsibilities. That's another aspect of this, is you need to, if I don't assign responsibilities, I've seen this, you remember you're leading a team, and I just say, we got to do these 5 things. What I've seen happen is 4 people do one thing, because that sounds like the fun thing, and no one does the other task. So you need to assign those responsibilities, assign them out. as you're leading your team. Anticipating obstacles, I said, well, what if I wanted to drive to LA? That's all well and good, but I have a 2002 Xterra. I love my old Xterra, but I would probably die in the desert somewhere and be sitting on the side of the road. So my obstacle, I anticipate it will not work, and I'm going to have to get a rental car. So you need to think about the things that could come up and affect and be ready to be prepared for that, right? The last thing about it is to modify the plan. You know, that's always something important. The example I gave, my call, not what I hate to even say there's an earthquake in California or something, I decided I don't want to go visit this month, let's give it a little bit of time. You have to modify your plan. We talked about involving your team members, your team as a leader. You need to involve your team in the planning process too. One reason is creativity. You know, when you go about, and I think, you know, a team at work, how can we get there? Here's the different ways. Let's look at that and see which way is best. So there's creativity involved in making that decision. And that helps the team members. There's also problem-solving skills. Well, my car breaks down, or maybe I take higher risk and I just buy AA, but I do something to mitigate my opportunity to sit on the side of the road in Arizona. And lastly, just like commitment to the actual goals, I'm going to be more committed to. It's one thing to say I'm going to increase sales 10%. I help make it. I'm committed. It's another thing to say I help decide how we're going to do that. So I'm more committed to the individual tasks and the day-to-day activities we're going to get there. So that's going to give more commitment to your team members as a leader. The last thing, I mentioned this just briefly because this is in here, Distinguished Club. If you've been an officer in Toastmasters, you use the club success plan. This is a really good example. When you flip through here, it talks about what obstacles, what timing, who's going to do what. You have a lot of the planning things that we've discussed right here, and I could pass it around the room to say I'll be done in a minute, but you know, look at this. Anybody who has not been an officer, I know has not maybe seen this. And last thing, so goal setting and planning make you a successful leader. You have specific things you want to accomplish, your team wants to accomplish. You're going to help lead them there by working together, set the objective, set the way to get there. I think of this, and Zig Ziglar, for some reason, I always say, how can you hit a target you don't have? That's step one in goal setting. So many people, if you don't set a goal as a leader, as a team, as an organization, as an individual, you're not going to get there. So thank you.